Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining the video. All right, today's video, it might touch a nerve for you guys, but just stay with me. I want to know, are you willing to take responsibility for where you're at right now with your health, with your body? Certainly if you have goals outside of health and body goals, this will apply to you, but it'll be a little bit more of a stretch because you have stumbled upon a health and wellness page. So we're going to be talking about those types of things. If you are new to me, my name is Tara Allen, and I help women get healthy, fit, and strong by using a complete 360-degree approach. Okay, it's a bit unique from what other people are doing because we don't just talk about nutrition, we don't just talk about fitness, we don't even just talk about nutrition and fitness together. We talk about mindset, mindful eating, holistic health, longevity. We talk about things like meal timing and some of the nitty-gritty stuff, but a lot of the big picture view, because the truth is we really have to change what's going on up here before we can really start to work on seeing physical results and physical progress. Another thing you might not know about me, if you are pretty new to me, is that I'm a mama of 2 little kids. I've got a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. I am a registered nurse and certified as a health coach, a nutritionist, and a personal trainer. But I myself have struggled with lots of different health issues, which has gotten me to this place of sort of leaving the Western medicine kind of part of my life and jumping over to more holistic health, looking into everything. And it's not just that this is what I do for a living, but really this is what I needed to do for myself. So I've reversed my own PCOS and prediabetes and insulin resistance. This is not to say that it's not something that I will battle for the rest of my life, because clearly we all have our Achilles heel when it comes to health. And for me, clearly, if I become too inflamed or anything like that, that's where that stuff is going to come out. So I still live my life as if I am still currently diagnosable as a person with PCOS or prediabetes or insulin resistance, because I know those things can come back at any time. I also have hypothyroidism. But I don't take any medications for these things, and I'm not saying that I'm against all pharmaceuticals, certainly not. There's definitely a time and place for it, but for me, my personal belief is that pharmaceuticals are a last resort, not a first resort. So I always believe in doing what we can first from the fundamentals, and then using those types of things, if we need to later on. So I've reversed my conditions, not using any kind of medication, and that's where we're at. So it's a little bit of a longer intro today, but I realize I haven't done something like that in a really long time. So if you are new to me, now you know a little bit more about me. I would love if you would tell me in the comments a little bit about you so I can get to know you too. So let's talk about this. It seems a little bit harsh at first when I say, are you taking responsibility for where you're at? But let me get there. I actually just posted a little quote card because I was just so fired up about this. But if you're not willing to take responsibility for exactly where you're at right now, your health, your energy levels, your moods, your body fat percentage, your blood sugar, whatever it is related to your health, your mental health, your physical health, if you cannot take responsibility as much as possible, like literally take responsibility for as much of it as you can, you will not get to where you're wanting to go. And here's why. When we give credit to our excuses, and I want to get a little bit more into excuses in a minute, but when we give credit to our excuses, we're actually giving away our power. Because what we're saying is it's the excuses that have all the power. The excuses have the chokehold on us. And what that means is that you don't have them, you didn't have the power to get to where you're at right now, which then means you don't have the power to get to where you're wanting to go. So it's a really actually empowering thing to take ownership of where you're at, to take responsibility for where you're at, regardless of the excuses. Now let's talk real quick about excuses because it's really important here. There are 2 different types of excuses, and some of them are pretty black and white, but there is definitely a gray area. But there are real excuses, and then there are imagined excuses. So imagined excuses might be where you say, I don't have time, or I don't have money, because you know that there's lots of things you can do without money. There's lots of time efficient ways that you can work on your goals, right? I'm lazy, things like that. Stories that you tell yourself are imagined excuses. But then there are very real excuses that we all have, Some of us have more than others, but we all have these excuses. And these are these sort of objective excuses that other people couldn't argue with. Like, this is not an opinion, but this is a fact. So you might have been diagnosed with something. You might be working 3 jobs right now. You might have 6 children. You know, there are these other excuses. You might have some difficult time right now, you know, trauma in the past, or you were raised a certain way, or whatever. We all have a collection of real excuses that we can absolutely lean on and use. So it's not to say, I think a lot of times people think excuses like, oh, but they're not true. No, excuses can be very true. You might have an uphill battle, but that's okay because you can still do it. And the point is to not look at the things that you didn't have control over. The point is to look at the things that you did have control over, because what you're going to do is you're actually going to be soaking in some of that feeling of empowerment to be able to propel you forward for where you are going. So, for example, I'll use myself as an example. I have been diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a condition that affects all body systems, but it's largely a metabolic condition. Insulin resistance, prediabetes, and hypothyroidism. I had a doctor once tell me, maybe it wasn't as funny as he thought it was supposed to be, but that my body wants so badly to be overweight. My body wants to be overweight. It's just, it's one of those things that I will always have to work hard at having a healthy body composition. It's not that I don't have good genes in this area, and that's fine. But I don't want to hang my hat up on that, because then I'm going to lose all the power, right? I could easily just say, forget this. I don't want to work so hard. I don't want to be so mindful of what I eat or my exercise. And the truth is, I've come to love it. I love my lifestyle the way it is. That's really truthful. But I could certainly say I'm just going to eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I will absolutely put on tons of weight. I will be unhealthy. I will have diabetes. And I can say, well, but that's my diagnosis, right? I have PCOS, prediabetes. Everyone knows prediabetes goes into diabetes, right? Wrong. It doesn't have to go that way. But I'm just saying that's what we've been trained to think. And I could use that as my excuse, right? I don't have to blame myself. It would feel probably easier in the moment to be able to say that it's not my fault, right? Because it's hard to admit that we have some responsibility. But I'm not going to go there. I'm going to say, you know what? I did have a choice in the types of foods I was eating. And there certainly was periods in my life that I was eating way more processed carbs than were healthy for me. And so, yeah, maybe there was a tipping point there, and I had a role for sure in putting myself over that tipping point, right? Stress levels that we can't necessarily reduce all the stress in our life, but we can certainly work on developing a good set of coping skills to deal with the stress when it comes up proactively. Like, you're not going to go through a super stressful time, and that's the time to be developing the coping skills. You have to really do that in advance, knowing that there are going to be hard times that will come ahead of us, right? I can certainly change the way that I move. So maybe at past times I wasn't working out enough, or maybe sometimes I was working out too much, because that's even an issue with something like PCOS. If you overstress yourself, you can flip your hormones in other directions. That's a whole another topic for another day. But there were certainly times I was probably over exerting myself, over exercising, right? So what I do is I don't hang my hat up on my diagnosis, but rather I think of all the ways that I can take responsibility. And I know this is going to seem a little counterintuitive if this is not something that you're familiar with, but I promise you what ends up happening is you go, oh my gosh, I've had such a role in getting to where I'm at right now. That means that if I'm the reason that I have a problem, then I'm also the solution. If I'm the problem, I'm also the solution. But if you're full of excuses and you just say, oh, this is the PCOS, this, you're giving away all your power, and you're basically saying, well, then I can't change anything, right? Because it's the PCOS. A quick little side note, because it's really important here too. Be careful of how you show up for your loved ones in this area as far as validating their excuses. So most people don't need somebody to affirm the things that they're already thinking if it's their excuses. So what we do a lot of times, because we think we're being supportive, we think we're being good friends, but it's really not helpful, is our friend says, oh my gosh, I'll keep using the same excuse. Oh my gosh, I might say, I have PCOS, this is so hard, my body just always wants to throw up my blood sugar, my body wants to hold on to all this excess body fat, I retain tons of water, blah, 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 right? I could be calling a friend and venting, which sometimes we need to vent, I get that. But now if my friend is on the other line and she's saying to me, you're so right, bad, you poor thing, these things always happen to you, I don't even know, I don't even know what I would do, blah, 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 whatever, right? Let's say there's back and forth. Your friend is validating your excuses, and that's only going to make you feel less powerful. So rather, as a friend, think about the way that you show up for other people too. And as a friend, it might be helpful to listen to them, sure, especially if they need to vent, but sort of try to get them as fast as possible to get over the venting and onto what they can do about it. So that can be a little tricky because that takes some coaching skills and stuff, but just in your mind, try to think about, rather than validating their excuses, try to think about helping them. Let's get to that point. Let's get to the point where you're starting to think about what it is that you do have control over. Like, hey, why don't we look at this book or something like that? Or that's something that you can do for your friends, okay? You can look up ways that your friend can take control over her own body or health or whatever in this example. Or you can help her get to the place where she's like, well, I could do this, or I could try that, or I haven't done this yet, So just a little side note, but as a good friend or as a loved one, you don't want to validate people's excuses. In the moment you do feel like that's what they need, and you feel like you're really showing up for them the way that they want you to support them, but it actually is going against what's going to help them in the future. So take responsibility for yourself, for where you're at. It's just a fact. You're wherever you are, no big deal. You don't have to beat yourself up. It's not the same thing. Taking responsibility and beating yourself up is not the same thing at all. On one hand, beating yourself up is very self-indulgent and completely ineffective. It's a very self-indulgent emotion because it doesn't do anything for you, and it just lets you just wallow in self-pity. It doesn't do anything for you. But on the other hand, taking responsibility is like, okay, I had a role in getting to where I'm at right now, and that also means that I have the power to change it and get to where I want to go. Please let me know in the comments if this video is helpful for you. If you're working on something with your health goals, let's chat about it. I'm happy to help everybody. You know that I do this for a living. I help women get healthy, fit, and strong, and you also know that I show up here week after week, day after day, posting things that are going to help people, even if you and I never end up working together, because I believe in helping everybody. And I will never let it stand in the way. If you and I can't work together, if there's some sort of a financial reason or whatever, that's never going to stop me from showing up and helping you. So if you're finding these videos helpful, let me know so I know to do more of things like this, okay? If you've got other suggestions for other types of videos that you would like me to do that you think will help you, please let me know, because if it's going to help you, it's probably going to help lots of other people too. So thanks for showing up and watching the video. If you're not already inside my private Facebook group, it's a Facebook group for women called Healthy, Fit, and Strong with Tara Allen Health. And inside the group, I post tons of resources, more so than I do on my public pages here on social media. So if you're not inside that group, get inside the group. I will post a link in the comments. Every week I'm posting recipes, more video workshops. We do weekly challenges every week. Every week there's a workout and tons more support with an awesome community, I must say. So join the group if you're not already in there, and I will see you inside. Have a great day. Bye.